All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking about real music and real issues and doing it in real time for a few real people who remain just like you and just like me. All right, so kudos to my patron, Tony, who sent me this. This is just insane. So Bryan Adams taken to the hospital after being diagnosed for the second time this month with the thing. Let me repeat that again for those of you who aren't familiar with my euphemisms. So Bryan Adams, there's pretty much no doubt in my brain, although the article does not make reference to whether he did the thing or he didn't do the thing. And it's interesting because when we find out that celebrities or athletes and they diagnosed, they're positive for the thing, there's typically no mention of whether they did the other thing or not. Anyway, for those of you who've been with me for a while, know exactly what I'm talking about. The Run to You singer, because they focus tested him down to Run to You, is off to the hospital after he was diagnosed with the thing less than a month after he tested positive ahead of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony. No, they weren't putting Bryan in. They were putting Tina Turner in, and he was supposed to attend a tribute to Tina Turner at the Hall of Fame. But of course, he was diagnosed with the potentially deadly thing. This, folks, we've got to get a grip on the potentially deadly. You know, you jump into your car to drive to the store, and that's a potentially deadly event for you, right? Isn't it? Everything is potentially deadly unless you wrap yourself in duct tape, and that might be interesting, trying to unroll the duct tape and stay home and don't interact with anybody. And I'm thinking it might not be too good for your psyche, you know, but whatever. So anyway, he was diagnosed with the potentially deadly thing upon arrival in Milan, Italy, ahead of the unveiling of the 2022 Pirelli calendar that he photographed. He tested positive again. He updated fans in an Instagram post that included photographs of himself in a room at the airport and sitting in an ambulance wearing a medical device, which has proven to be amazing at stopping the spread of the thing. Okay, sarcasm moment here. All right, so I just wanted to give you the thoughtful pause there. He writes, "Here I am, just arrived in Milano, and I've tested positive for the second time in a month," Adams wrote. "So it's off to the hospital for me." And there he is. Can't see the picture, but he posted that on Instagram wearing the incredible prevention device that has proven to be amazing at stopping this. Okay, so, you know, it's weird because I call my sister every so often, and I do so on Thanksgiving as a tradition. You know, we call each other on holidays, and she lives up in Massachusetts. I used to live up there. I live in Florida now, which thank God I live in Florida. Plenty of room. Come on down, folks. So I was talking to her, and she's having kids and grandkids over, and going to be a lot of people there. I think about 12. So, you know, it's a real old school Italian Thanksgiving where the turkey ends up being a decoration. You've got the raviolis, you've got the bricioli, you've got all of these different things that prevent you from getting to the turkey. All right. I come from a long line of overfed people, and we like to eat. I used to be a professional eater back in the day, and I used to be able to put it away and it would kind of burn itself off. That doesn't happen any longer. In any event, I was talking to my sister, and she said to me, "Yeah, I know we're having a lot of people, right? But don't worry." Okay. And I didn't inquire, but she's like, "Don't worry. We've all done the thing. We've all done the thing." I'm like, "Oh, okay, great." And then so she started to inquire about my status, you know, and I said, "Well, I already had this thing," you know, and she's like, "Oh, ooh." So it was like panic, you know, it was like silence on the other end. And You're still here to talk about it? Yep, I'm still here to talk about it. And just in case, I ordered some horse paste, right? I didn't tell her this, but I have the horse paste, the Joe Rogan stuff. I have some of that on hand, just in case, things go sideways or whatever. And I'm like Bryan Adams, it's a second time, third time, but that's second time in a month, people. So again, I don't know. There are a lot of mysteries this weekend. I call it a weekend, but when I'm thinking Wednesday, Thursday, that's the beginning of this particular weekend for a lot of people. It seemed as though there were a few reports coming in from over in Europe of mystery collapsing and mystery stopped breathing and mystery of a lot of different things that I've been seeing that, of course, they're being reported, but they're all being basically dismissed. What a coincidence. Wow. And it's over and over again. Athletes, celebrities, everyday people. And I'm not sure anybody is really paying attention, because even if you don't think this is related, which you'd be kind of silly not to make some kind of a connection, but say you've been effectively gaslit and over again, where you just think, oh, it's just a coincidence. The guy was a professional runner, and all of a sudden he's no more. He's gone. And it's either the biggest cover up in the history of the world, or it's the biggest misdirection play of some kind. I think in those terms too, because I'm wondering what could be next, what's coming down the pike next. But the fact that somebody who advocates and tells people, maybe even does a public service announcement, maybe rails on other people for not believing in the religion that they believe in, because that's what this is. It's another form of religion. And I understand, because if you don't actually believe in God, right, you need something, to fill that void. And these people for years, whether it's the music or some kind of art, obviously Bryan Adams is involved in painting and art, and I've really not followed his career in that particular profession, but a lot of music artists and famous people will often take up painting. And then, even the vice president of the United States, right, is a professional artist from what I've heard. Sorry. So it's kind of interesting, though, that all of these people who advocate, remember what we saw with Kiss, and that was bad, and then their guitar tech. And so there was a lot of I'm following this and this isn't going so well, guys. Any regrets? Any retractions? Nope. And that's the most insane thing, as there's never any mea culpa moment. There's never anything, that would indicate that maybe they're thinking, at least to themselves, that this didn't work. This isn't going so well. But nobody will do that. And as I've said in other videos, it's like this great omission. And the omission is for people who aren't paying attention. And most people aren't. Most people don't pay attention. So this thing with Bryan Adams, they're going to say, well, you know what they're going to say? Well, he's going to the hospital, right? So you know what they're going to say? Well, at least he's not dead. That's what they're going to say. Well, good thing he did this. Really? Good thing? I can't recall in my lifetime, seriously. I mean, I've had extended periods of time where I've been ill, but again, and this begs the question about all of this, taking the test, and you've done the thing, and you're taking the test, and you're traveling, and you're doing all these things, and it's just wow. I mean, that's going to be apparently the life for so many people now. And just because they're so afraid, like my sister, you could tell there's just fear. And I didn't give her a lecture. I was like, oh, okay, well, if that works for you. And by the way, that's kind of my philosophy. If that's what you want to do, I'm just, don't do it to me. Don't tell me I've got to do what you're doing. Right? I mean, there are other ways to deal with this, as I have mentioned here. So in any event, another famous rock star, and following the protocols, and things didn't go according to plan, but they'll tell you in some other article that, wow, good thing he did that, right? Seriously, just thought to myself, I should pray for this guy that he has a full and speedy recovery, because I'd hate to see this keep happening as a result of maybe the fact that he did do something. And, in some studies and places, and, sort of off the beaten track information portals, you can find some of this stuff. Like Telegram is a great spot to go. And there are other places that you can dig through and actually get real information. But right now, if you're going to a certain website which has initials, begins with a C and ends with a C, and you're gonna embrace all of what they're telling you, then you're gonna be endlessly afraid. You're gonna be endlessly not informed. You're not gonna have the informed consent that you need to make decisions, because you're not getting it. Any medical procedure, you would want a second opinion all the time. Give me a second opinion. I get it. 90% of these clowns are on the same page. So getting a second opinion is getting more groupthink. And then at that point, you're going to say, wow, this guy validated the other guy, and so I better listen to that guy because he was right, because the other guy said the exact same thing. You're going to be looking far and wide, although I can tell you where to find the second opinion. But, if you're just going to go random through the phone book, I'm thinking you might not get any second opinions. So I would probably tell Bryan Adams, dude, maybe you should do something a little different, right? I mean, there are other things you can do. And you'd be wanting to do them anyway, just as a way to live healthier and be happier. But that's it. That's all I got on this one, folks. It's really frustrating because the more you see this stuff, the more you just lose faith in humanity, thinking that they just don't want to know the truth.